PvP guide of the Rest of Druid Season 4 patch 9.2.7. So I'm going to talk you through the talents, the PvP talents, what comps to play, what macros to use, what conduits, and the gear and stats and legendaries that you need to use. So it's going to be a full guide for Restoration Druid. So let's start. So first of all, I'm going to go through talents, what's best to use, what is optimal, and what is best to use in what situation against certain compositions. So first of all, just quickly go through the spells. I'm not going to spend ages explaining what each spell does because I'm hoping by now you at least know what each spell does, but you're going to take Cenarian Ward, Wild Charge, Guardian Affinity. Okay, now I'm going to explain a little bit about Guardian Affinity. The reason I prefer Guardian Affinity 9 times out of 10 is simply because of the reduced damage taken and the Frenzied Regeneration and End Cap. Now, the reason I like this even against Warlocks is simply because you can use a Frenzied Regen to save mana, and I feel like with the Warlocks you often end up playing long drawn out games, and you can simply line of sight, Frenzied Regen, when the Unstable Affliction comes off you can dispel whatever dots you need, and just generally I feel it's better against Mage Rogue as well. With the end cap it's another stun. Feral Affinity, generally you can play that against double caster comps, but Guardian is generally better for 2v2, 3v3. Here, all of these are viable. In 2v2 Rogue Mage, I do like to play Heart of the Wild just because you get the extra Frenzied Regen and Iron Fair, which does stop you being a viable target really. Against kind of monks, BM hunters, demonology warlocks, mass entanglement can be really good if used correctly, but again, Mighty Bash can be optional, they can all be played. This one really, Soul the Forest is the only viable option unless you're going to play into double DPS comps. Incarnation against mages can be used. For example, the rogue may appear, you may bash the rogue, Vortex, the rogue to keep them out, Moonfire, Sunfire Beam, and then Incan to stop you actually being sheeped. Now the next line, Overgrowth, 9 times out of 10 is going to be well, actually I would say all the time. The only occasion you may go in a piece is if you are playing a monk and you're being the focus, or you're going to be the focus. Monks can one shot right now, so it's not a bad talent to play, and this can keep tranquility through that Ring of Peace. Now the next thing that I'm going to explain is Germination and Flourish. So now these are both very viable. So I think in this current meta, I think Germination is still really popular, but I actually think given the high DPS viability of a lot of comps, Flourish is probably actually the better option to play with a more variety of compositions, particularly when you're playing with warrior and stuff, classes that maybe have less defensives. The reason I say this is because you can still use your Solar Forest proc to proc a big rejuvenation, and then you can switch between Ironbark and Flourish every time the enemy has a major, GCD or an attack and cooldown. Now Germination is good. I prefer this myself because if I'm playing with a hunter, I like to get 2 dots on the pet to keep up. I don't really like to waste Swift Mend unless they're trying to get the pet down. And also I do have a video that shows how to use Germination, so you get like I think it's like 15k heal every 2 seconds. So they're both viable options. The main problem with Germination is that it's very hard to play in freeze, because it's really good if you're keeping one target alive, whereas Flourish is much more viable because you can switch the targets you use it on, and so on and so forth. So and obviously Germination, it's purgeable, so, and if you get all your dots and then they're all taken off, that can be a problem. So next up, PvP talents, what to use, what's best. So these two, Keeper of the Grove and Focus Grove, 99% of the time we are not going to change these. So the main one we're going to change is the third one. Now we have many viable options, so just to tell you a few things I play in different comps. So playing a Demonology Warlock, we're going to play Reactive Rezzing. Playing Freeze with a double against a double melee comp, we're going to play Reactive Rezzing. Entangling Bark, if you play against a monk or DH and you're really worried that you know it's hard to kite on the map, Entangling Bark can be a really good option. Fawns, you're going to play against a warrior. Again, I play it against DH. I play it against a DK sometimes too. And this really stops them going on me too, so it can be used as to kind of preempt the push. Deep Roots, I don't really use this. It is viable, but I think when you've got Mass Entangle, sometimes it's good if you're playing with a hunter and you know you want to keep the warrior off, but it's really optional. High Winds, I tend to go High Winds when I don't know what to go, because I do feel like when you're playing with a class such as a warrior or another class that's got a Mortal Strike ability, High Winds really does help to reduce the healing and helps to confirm a kill. I play Master of the Wild when I may be against Shamans, Warlocks, maybe Mages, Frost Mages particularly. It really depends, or if I'm in an RPG, Mark of the Wild is just a general nice dampener for general AoE damage. But overall, yeah, that's pretty much the talents. You know, you'll just be changing the third one, so there's not really too much to worry about. Okay, so next let's look at conduits. So what conduits are the best? So you're going to go Plague Divisor, Maraleth, and you're just going to stick these conduits. Now I've checked most of the top list of Druids and they mostly play the same conduits that I'm using here, so just see on the screen. I'm not going to explain why we use each one because I feel like there's enough, you know, you've probably played a few seasons now and these are really, you know, really optimal. They're really just designed to increase my healing. The only tip that I can give you is in the last 3 seconds or on second 4 before you open the gate, switch Bear Form and full Fleshcraft, and that's just so you get the increased health, so we get like a really big shield, so like 87k shield. Absolutely insane. If you Fleshcraft before the gates open, your shield will instantly half, so do bear that in mind. Okay, so the next thing that I'm gonna go through, you can obviously change some of these depending on what comps you're against. You know, sometimes Ichin's Tough as Bark. Flash of Clarity is good. What else is there? Sometimes I change for RPGs. Like there's just a lot of different ones. So I think the next thing is let's look at gear and what's the best gear, what's optimal. Now the main stats for a druid, rest of druid, are haste and versatility. So I would say anywhere around 30% or above is good. Now obviously as you get better gear, your versatility is going to increase. Now this season, gear wise, Mastery is actually really good, particularly for the big heals and the big kind of damage meta. So I would actually aim really for 50% Mastery, 20% haste, and every gem you want to stick a Mastery gem in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my legendaries. So we're running Verdant Infusion, and there's no better legendary than this at the moment. Mainly because it resets all your hots with Swiftman, and that is insane. And then obviously you've got this one which increases your adaptive swarm, which makes the healing really viable. Yeah, it's just great overall, to be honest. I should probably put Mastery Gem on this. What I would do this season is change these out for Mastery Gems. You can use the same slots, doesn't really matter too much. but this is the gear I'm running, and this has got me to 1950, and I'm playing around 2k rating at the moment. Okay, so next, how do we heal as a druid? So there's two ways to heal, like I said. There's germination and there's flourish. So with germination, I'm just going to give you a quick run through again. You're going to use regrowth, you're going to then swift mend, you're then going to put a full rejuvenation on, and you'll notice it's then 5k. 5k per 2 seconds. So then you're going to use your others, so life bloom, Cenarium Ward. You're then going to swift mend again for a second time, and you're then going to get germination. So now we've got 2 big 5k buffs. You're then going to adaptive swarm, okay, and you then on your next soul the forest, here's what you're going to do. So you're going to swift mend again, and you're then going to rejuve, and you will notice we have 2 huge hots. So we've got a 9k and a 6k. So this is absolutely insane, and literally if you keep this up on a target, on, you know, your partner, they are not going to die. Now the second one is flourish. Really straightforward. All you're going to do, you're going to get all your hots onto life bloom, Cenarium Ward, you know, regrowth, whatever. You're then going to flourish, you're then going to life bloom, and that's pretty much it. And then you're just gonna keep swift mending and applying any dots that go off really. Now, what comps to play, how to play these comps. So the 3 comps I think are totally viable this season. So ranked number 1, I would say Outlaw Rogue, and Resto Druid. Rank 2, Survival Hunter and Resto Druid, and rank 3, I would say Fury, Arms Warrior, Resto Druid. Now they all have different styles. With the Outlaw, you pretty much do not need to CC except when they're all mana. You can really PvE it and just focus on min-maxing the damage, rotating your cooldowns, because Outlaw has insane survivability with evasion, cloak popping off all the time. They've got vanish, they've got sprint. They're just really seriously good. Hunter, a little bit different, but they're really good. So on their trap, you literally bash the DPS and then clone off the trap. And then when you've cloned, the hunter can then stun, and it honestly is like a 20-second CC. You will get loads of cooldowns. Literally do this and every comp is winnable. As a Fury Warrior, it's just more about the pressure, PvE healing, trying to cyclone when the warrior's got big damage up. You know, and this is really, in terms of freeze, I've not played much this season, but the comps I would recommend are Turbo Cleave with Enhancement Shaman and a Fury Warrior. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything in the guide. If you have found this helpful, please do obviously subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below and like the video.